let's see what we've got here. So, I had some of my chat. Don't worry, I'm about to bring it up. I had some of my folks in my Discord ask if there was anything in particular from these selected notes that interested them. There we go. That's nice. That's nice. Let's just get it so that that we can see what's going on here. Excellent. Covers everything. Alright, now let's bring that down a few layers. Excellent, excellent. Still a bit small, so let's zoom in a bit. Let's see. Okay, that's nice and readable. There we go, there we go. Okay, so, as I normally do on Theory Thursday, before we get into the material, let me furnish you first with some background on oh, don't need that open. Let's put that in another tab so that my chat isn't visible while we're reading. Okay. I don't know how I feel about putting chat on screen. I love Chadley, but you know, not sure how to really integrate it elegantly into a stream. I'll figure that out at some point. Okay, so some background on Gramsci. So, the Communist Party of Italy was one of the main groups resisting Mussolini's rise to power, you know, and once he was in, obviously they were resisting him. And so there was sort of an unspoken civil disrest between, you know, the brown shirts and was it the brown shirts? No, brown shirts was Germany, black was Italy. So there was an unspoken strife between them and the Communist Party of Italy. And so there were two major figures that led the Communist Party of Italy during this time. We have Bordiga and we have Gramsci. Here, in fact, since I have this cool board up, right, I can just bring up Mr. Gramsci, right? Yeah, that's a good one. This one, he looks like that picture of the monkey in the suit, where it's got like the little snow cone. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, but this one he looks pretty good. He looks this is pretty accurate. And the reason I bring up Gramsci, and the reason, you know, I specifically brought him in for Theory Thursday, is because of his contributions to this idea of cultural hegemony, right? So what is cultural hegemony? Well, this is something that, you know, he started theorizing about, you know, during Mussolini's rise and during his stint in prison. And essentially the idea of hegemony, or cultural hegemony, is that once you have a group of people, you know, who have spoken or unspoken control of a society, right? And you have sort of this smaller inner circle. In order to, you know, sort of keep authority, there is sort of this it's somewhere between propaganda and natural culture, or not natural culture, but like culture that arises, you know, without too much prompting. And it's how we should say, you know, a unspoken reinforcement of the norms that keep the powerful in power, right? So a culture is created incidentally or on purpose, kind of both, that entirely exists to perpetuate the preservation of cultural norms, if that makes any sense. So, if it's billionaire industrialists that are, at the reins of power in a cultural group, these industrialists will produce, there will be a focus of the culture around this idea of don't question the industrialists. Why would you question them? They're obviously, the most fit to be in power. And this sort of propaganda will, repeatedly reinforce the norms, and it's not always in obvious ways. This is something that you have to unlearn over a period of time. So that's the general idea of cultural hegemony. Okay, so we've had Mr. Antonio up quite a bit. Let's actually get to his works. I have this right here, this other tab. That's a special treat for later if you all want to get really fucking angry, because that's some horse shit. That's some real horse shit I found on my search for this book. So as always, thank you. What website is this? Thank you, Elect Book of London, and to the website Abalali, I think that's how you say it, abalali.org, for providing this. If you want to read this for yourself, I will provide links in my Discord. So that will be found. Actually, in fact, I'll just put that up right now so that we don't have to, bring it up later. Okay. Yeah, we'll just keep it there while I post the link to this in the Discord. And then once I've done that, we'll get to the material proper. Fuck it, let's go to the live channel. Let's see. Is my mic still coming through okay? Yes, it looks like it is. I just may need to get a little bit closer because Discord does mic suppression. Okay. So I will drop the link for the Gramsci PDF into the general political things channel on the Bardic Interrogation Discord if you want to find the material and read it for yourself. Okay. So these are selected readings, so we have a couple things to go here. Not Italian history. No, I wanted to do, the modern prince and introduction to, his politics, because I think that's pretty helpful. So with that, we will jump to page 312. Man, I don't know how long his prison stint was, but man, this fucking bitch was writing a lot. Good on them for using their time in a constructive way. Okay, so I think, yes. Notes on politics. Okay, so let's begin. The concept of Jacobinism, or Jacobinism, I don't know how you say that. It's French, not a term I'm familiar with. But the concept of Jacobinism is perhaps that which establishes most clearly and most succinctly the unifying threads which links all of Gramsci's prison writings on history and politics. Machiavelli was a precocious Jacobin. Mazzini and his followers failed to be Jacobins of the Risorgimento. So the Risorgimento was when Italy united, and Machiavelli was 16th century prince. The modern prince, i.e. the Communist Party, must organize and express a national popular collective will. So the idea of a modern prince obviously being, Gramsci will get to that, don't worry. I.e. the Communist Party must organize and express a national popular collective will. In other words, it must be a Jacobin force, binding the peasants beneath the hegemony of the proletariat and rejecting all forms of economism, syndicalism, spontaneism. I disagree with this, but it's good to read anyways. What has characterized Italian history hitherto is the fact that an effective Jacobin force was always missing. Now the question is posed whether the urban proletariat has attained an adequate development in the field of industrial production and a certain level of historico-political culture. It is a historical task that can only be accomplished if, quote, the great mass of peasant farmers burst simultaneously into political life. Let's see, how is the mic holding up? Give me 1 second, I'm gonna just check on something. Okay, how is the mic holding up? Okay, it seems to be holding up fine. Alright, back to reading. So obviously, this urges the great mass of peasant farmers, so basically, anyone rural of low wealth, to burst simultaneously into political life. The writings on the Communist Party grouped in this section aim to define what type of party could play the role of the modern prince, the prince being reference to Machiavelli's work. In an earlier version of the passage here entitled The Political Party, Gramsci gave what he wrote the heading Marx and Machiavelli and began, "This theme can be developed into a twofold study. The study of the real relations between the two as theorists of militant politics, of action, and a book which would derive from Marxist doctrines an articulated system of contemporary politics of the prince type." The theme would be the political party in its relations with the classes and the state. Not the party as a sociological category, but the party which seeks to found the state. So obviously this isn't, the party in a wider cultural sense, but, as directly related to what it does in politics, is what we're saying here. Why did Gramsci attach such importance to Machiavelli? Because Machiavelli was a representative in Italy of the recognition that the Renaissance could not be a real one without the foundation of a national state. Machiavelli's political thought was a reaction to the Renaissance in the narrow sense. It was an invocation of the political and national necessity of drawing closer to the people as the absolute monarchies of France and Spain had done. Machiavelli did not merely abstractly desire the national unification of Italy. He had a program, and it was one which revealed his precious Jacobinism. I kind of disagree with some of this, Gramsci, but go off. He intended, through the institution of a citizen militia, to bring the great mass of peasant farmers into political life. For Gramsci, he was not simply a precursor of the historical Jacobins, but a precursor of the modern Jacobins, i.e. the Communists, in their task of forging the worker-peasant alliance. In his identification of the communists with Jacobinism, Gramsci was developing and expanding a theme already touched on by Lenin, who wrote in 1917 that Jacobinism in Europe, or on the boundary line between Europe and Asia in the 20th century, would be the rule of the revolutionary class, of the proletariat which, supported by the peasant poor, and take advantage of the existing material basis for advancing socialism, could not only provide all the great unforgettable things provided by the Jacobins in the 18th century, but bring about a lasting worldwide victory for the working people. I would have critiques of both Jacobinism and Machiavelli, specifically Machiavelli in this case, because while Machiavelli in his writings definitely urged a mobilization, of the class of peasantry, when a communist does it, it's ideally, anyways, for positive ends, enriching the general welfare of the population. Machiavelli urged the enrichment of the peasantry in so much as that doing so would placate them and allow them to be utilized as a tool for the political ends of basically absolutist ideas, or pseudo-absolutist ideas anyways. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with Gramsci's take that, you could frame Machiavelli as the forerunner to any communist movement. But, make of it what you will. There's still definitely some interesting stuff to be read from Machiavelli. The notes grouped in this section approach the problem of the modern prince from many angles. They analyze the nature of a political party as such, the relations between party, class, and state, the ideological dangers of economism and spontaneism against which it must struggle, the type of non-bureaucratic internal regime which is necessary if it is to be effective. But if there is one passage which perhaps more than any other encapsulates Gramsci's conception of the Revolutionary Party, it is the opening sentences of the section entitled Prediction and Perspective, in which he evokes Machiavelli's centaur as a symbol of the dual perspective which must be characterized in the Revolutionary Party and state. The party must hold together in a dialectical unity the two levels of force and of consent, of authority and hegemony, violence and civilization, of agitation and of propaganda, and of tactics and of strategy. So this is basically just saying, the party has to consider more than one perspective and, don't get too chained down in be politically pragmatic. Don't get fucking bogged down in one idea. That's essentially all this is saying. Perhaps one can see here an attempt to theorize the struggle Gramsci had conducted in the PCI against Bourdiga on the one hand and Tosca on the other, two, other major figures in the PCI. Bourdiga, in this schema, would represent an undialectical isolation of the moment of force, domination, etc. Tosca, a parallel isolation of the movement of consent, hegemony, the short-term and the long-term perspective, respectively, mechanically and incoherently divorced from one another. Gramsci sought to theorize a unity of the two perspectives. Yeah, so, basically be pragmatic, hear people out, adopt multiple things, and whatever, fucking works given the situation. Real, you know, Gramsci and this book use a lot of big words, but it's pretty much as simple as that. Just be politically pragmatic and seek to, harmonize divergent perspectives into something that actually works. That's all. Brief notes on Machiavelli's politics. Now, if you, I think honestly, Machiavelli's The Prince is probably a better political work to read than most Marxist literature. IMHO. It's very interesting stuff, and I probably should do it for a Theory Thursday one of these days. But the basic thing about The Prince is that it is not a systematic treatment, but a live work in which political ideology and the political science are fused in the dramatic form of a myth. Before Machiavelli, political science had taken the form of either of the utopia or of the scholarly treatise. Machiavelli, in combining the two, gave imaginative and artistic form to his conception by embodying the doctrinal, rational element in the person of a condottiere, or mercenary essentially, who represents plastically and anthropomorphically the symbol of the collective will. In order to represent the process where a given collective will directed towards a given political objective is formed, Machiavelli did not have recourse in long-winded arguments or pedantic classifications of principles and criteria for a method of action. Instead, he represented this process in terms of the qualities, characteristics, duties, and requirements of a concrete individual. Such a procedure stimulates the artistic imagination of those who have to be convinced and gives political passions a more concrete form. Again, simplified, Machiavelli used a mercenary as a framing device when talking about politics. Cool. Which, given the 16th century, was probably some pretty cool stuff. But, yeah, that's the thing about a lot of this kind of stuff, right? Is a lot of it's a lot more simple than it appears to be. It's just fucking brought to us in, lawyer speak or academic speak in such a way as to, I don't know if it's purposeful or incidental, maybe a mix of the two. But there's this sort of obscurification of knowledge that I really don't like. And obscurification of knowledge, that's why I do Theory Thursdays, to make it more accessible. Okay. So... Okay. If you want, pause and you can read those. Machiavelli's Prince could be studied as a historical exemplification of the Sorelian myth, i.e., of a political ideology expressed neither in the form of a cold utopia nor as learned theorizing, but as a creation of concrete fantasy which acts on a dispersed and shattered people to arouse, organize its collective will. Yeah, so, much as we talked about being pragmatic and taking the middle path of revolutionary politics, they're just saying, it straddles that ground of being a boring, concrete work about day-to-day lives and being a fucking metaphor for utopia or whatever. Cool. The utopian character of the prince lies in the fact that the prince has no real historical existence. He did not present himself immediately and objectively to the Italian people, but was rather a purely theoretical abstraction, a symbol of the leader and ideal condottieri. Cool. Yep. So yeah, you used a metaphor, bro. Damn, fucking clap yourself on the back, my dude. However, in a dramatic movement of great effect, the elements of passion and of myth which occur throughout the book are drawn together and brought to life in the conclusion. In the invocation of a prince who really exists throughout the book, Machiavelli discusses what the prince must be like if he is to lead the people to found a new state. The argument is developed with rigorous logic and with scientific detachment. In conclusion, Machiavelli merges with the people, becomes the people, however some generic people, but the people whom he, Machiavelli, has convinced by the preceding arguments. Okay. But this isn't about Machiavelli. So, while it's very interesting to, analyze Machiavelli, I think you kind of get the basics of it. He's a precursor to a lot of what we have now. Okay. So, the modern prince, the myth prince, cannot be a real person, a concrete individual. The prince being, kind of a metaphor for like a vanguard party or, a spontaneous movement or whatever. Just whatever the, driving political force is. So it cannot be a real person, a concrete individual. It can only be an organism, a complex element of society in which a collective will, which has already been recognized and has some extent asserted itself in action, begins to take a concrete form. History has already provided this organization, or this organism, and it is the political party. I would argue there's many forms of this organism, political parties just being one, but go off. The first cell in which there come together germs of a collective will tending to become universal and total. In the modern world, only those historical political actions which are immediate and imminent, characterized by necessity for lightning speed, can be incarnated mythically by a concrete individual. Yeah, fair enough. Such speed can only be made necessary by a great and imminent danger, a danger which precisely fans passions and fanaticism suddenly to a white heat and annihilates the critical sense and the corrosive irony, which are able to destroy the charismatic character of the condottieri, as happened in the Bologniel. I should be able to pronounce this. Bologniel adventure. But an improvised action of such kind, by its very nature, cannot have a long-term and organic character. It will, in almost all cases, be appropriate to restoration and reorganization, but not to the founding of new states or new national and social structures, as was at issue in Machiavelli's Prince, in which the theme of restoration was merely a rhetorical element linked to the literary concept of an Italy descended from Rome and destined to restore order and the power of Rome. So, yeah, personality cults and personalistic politics are not, destined to be very long-lasting. Yeah, that's kind of true. Good example is, our man Donnie, like, he's got a personality cult. And, while reactionary and fascistic policies may remain in the United States, this personality cult that he's cultivated isn't going to last forever. It's got 10 years at most on it before it devolves into something probably even more debased and less based around him. Fun. But yeah, the other examples of, having a system based around the personality of an individual. Good examples that come to mind are Broz Tito in Yugoslavia, where, once Tito bit it, the entire thing kind of fucking fell apart. Because, it was kind of his force of will that was, to some extent, holding the whole thing together. There was definitely other elements at play there. Other good examples of, the inviolability of personalism can be seen both in Putin's Russia, where while it's very much, I would say, to some extent, a personalism around him, Russia is such a vast state that, he really can't be everywhere. And, his detestment for, not pro-worker policies, but non-reactionary policies essentially has allowed an oligarchy to spring up that is kind of assisted through his personalism. And then, the easy football, you have Un in Korea, or the Kims in Korea. I don't know. There's definitely some big personalism going on with the Kims. I don't think that's good. We'll have to wait and see where it goes from there, though. North Korea is a fucking black box that even I don't fucking know all of. So, yeah, that's, personalism is kind of weird. Hi, chat. How are you doing? Everyone awake, or how you doing? Hey, chat. If you're awake, give me a single pog. Just one pog. All right. Back to the reading. I'll check on you in a few minutes, chat. All right. So, it will be defensive rather than capable of original creation. It being personalism. Its underlying assumption will be that a collective will, already in existence, has become nerveless and dispersed, suffered a collapse which is dangerous and threatening, but not definitive and catastrophic, and that it is necessary to reconcentrate it and reinforce it, rather than on a new collective will that must be created from scratch, to be directed towards goals which are not concrete and rational, but whose concreteness and rationality has not been given or has not been put to the critical test by a real universe and universally known historical experience. The abstract character of the Sorelian conception of the myth is manifested in its aversion, which takes the emotional form of an ethical repugnance for the Jacobins. So this is why Jacobins and Sorelians beef with each other. It's really dumb. Who are certainly a categorical embodiment of Machiavelli's prince. The modern prince must have a part devoted to Jacobinism. I disagree, in the integral sense which this motion has had historically and must have conceptually, as an exemplification of the concrete formation and operation of a collective will, which, at least in some aspects, was an original ex novo creation, and a definition which must be given of collective will, and of a political will in general, in the modern sense. Will as operative awareness of historical necessity, as protagonist of a real and effective historical drama. Cool. So, essentially what we're saying, is the collective will, which is basically shit everyone kind of already agrees on. Easy example is medical care should be easier to get in the US. Everyone agrees on that. That's kind of collective will. Not everyone agrees on it, but there's generally this collective will of it should be easier to get fucking surgery here, right? And that should be, what drives politics. Yeah. Basically, instead of having it based around personalism. That, personalism being the personality of a certain historical figure. Is that how Jacobin is pronounced? Yeah, exactly. I pronounce it Jacobin. I don't know if there's other pronunciations for it. A majority actually support Medicare for all. Yeah, exactly. That is a perfect example of the popular will. Or is that? Or no, collective will, not popular will. But it's essentially the same idea. Yeah, like collective wills should be what drives politics forward, The shit everyone wants is how we should decide what everyone wants. Wow, that's a fucking crazy take, I know. This guy's a fucking radical. You gotta throw him in prison. He's saying people should decide on what they want and then get it. Oh no. Oh no. Plug the children's sweet baby ears. Jacobin is generally how I've heard it said, but it's very possible that's wrong. I don't know which way you're supposed to say it. I just like Jacobin because it sounds nicer in my mouth. But Jacobin is probably correct, let's be honest. Okay. Where was I? Okay, here we are. One of the first sections must precisely be devoted to the collective will, posing the question in the following terms. When can the conditions for awakening and developing a national popular collective will be said to exist? Hence, a historical economic analysis of the social structure of the given country and a dramatic representation of the attempts made in the course of the centuries to awaken this will, together with the reasons for the successive failures. Why was there no absolute monarchy in Italy in Machiavelli's time? One has to go back to the Roman Empire, the language question, the problem of the intellectuals, etc., to understand the function of the medieval communes, the significance of Catholicism, etc. In short, one has to make an outline of the whole history of Italy, in synthesis, but accurate. The reason for the failures of the successive attempts to create a national popular collective will is to be sought in the existence of certain specific social groups which were formed at the dissolution of the communal bourgeoisie. In the particular character of the groups which reflect the international function of Italy as a seat of the Church and depository of the Holy Roman Empire, and so on. This function and the position which results from it have brought about an internal situation which may be called economic, corporate, politically. The worst of all forms of feudal society, the least progressive, and the most stagnant. An effective Jacobin force was always missing and could not be constituted, and it was precisely such a Jacobin force which in other nations awakened and organized the national popular collective will and founded the modern states. So essentially, simplified, there was a lot of competing interests that, weren't particularly seeking to unify Italy. Wow. Wild. Who knew that if you were, Duke of Milan, you did not, in fact, want someone higher rank than you telling you what to do? Crazy. Absolutely wild. And here's one thing I would disagree with the historicalism here, is the idea that, the nationalism that created the modern states we see today, such as France as an easy example, that these monarchies represented popular will. I disagree with that. I think there was, a shit ton of murdering that happened during the French Revolution that kind of proved the monarch was not very good, in fact, at representing the popular will. So,
what are you talking about?
Oh, hello, is someone there? Is someone there? I can't quite hear you. I'd have to turn you up. Here, let me turn you up a bit. Can you speak now?
Commodity production.
Yes, commodity production. Chabunga.
What are we talking about?
So right now what we're talking about is Gramsci's notes.
That's better.
Gramsci's notes on popular will and the idea of, why there, what causes a nation to get to the point where it can be guided by popular will. Is this popular will even a Jacobin trait? Yes, but I don't think it's quite that simple, Jacobins. And et cetera, et cetera. There's this idea, essentially, that's being posited here, that we have this idea of the modern prince, right? And the prince is a reference to Machiavelli's writings, and the modern prince just being the driver of political force in, a modern state, and that this prince should, in Gramsci's eyes, and supposedly in the eyes of the Jacobins, be the collective popular will of the people. Which is, yes, something I completely agree with. I believe, and this is kind of where I split with Gramsci and the Jacobins here, is that it shouldn't be done, or that modern states are not and this centralization is not a exemplification of national will, but rather a suppression of it for imperialism. I think generally you're going to get better representation of the popular will at a smaller scale. So that's kind of my critique of this. I get really close to my mic, and that's because that makes it a lot easier for me to be heard. Hello, Average. We're reading about Gramsci. Do you have any thoughts on popular will?
I heard what you said. Right, heard what you said about centralization being a suppression of popular will, and honestly, I'd agree.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say
no, go off, King.
I would say that like these sort of central states, at the very least they have to have like a Cincinnati sort of deal with them, where they gotta like. I'm still trying to collect my thoughts. My mouth runs faster than my brain.
That's okay. Take your time. We'll do some reading, and we can come back to you. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see where we were. Yes. So we were talking about the national collective will, which founded the modern states. I disagree, Gramsci, but again, whatever. So, do the necessary conditions
Hold up.
for this,
Oh.
this being popular will, finally exist? Or rather, what is the present relation between these conditions, so the conditions we find ourselves in, and the forces that oppose them, popular will? Traditionally, the forces of opposition have been the landed aristocracy, and more generally, landed property as a whole. Italy's particular characteristics of a special rural bourgeoisie, a legacy of parasitism, bequeathed to modern times by the disintegration as a class of the communal bourgeoisie, the 100 cities, the cities of silence. Ooh, cool sounding. So yeah, basically, rich lords in their little douchebag rural towns. The positive conditions are to be sought in the existence of urban social groups which have attained an adequate development in the field of industrial production and a certain level of historico-political culture. Any formation of a national popular will collective is impossible unless the great mass of peasant farmers bursts simultaneously into political life. I agree with that. That was Machiavelli's intention through the reform of the militia. That was not Machiavelli's intention. He kind of wanted to keep the popular will down and was just more concerned with his own power, but, interpretations are what they are. And it was achieved by the Jacobins in the French Revolution, and somewhat. That Machiavelli understood it reveals a precocious Jacobinism that is more or less fertile germ of his conception of national revolution. All history from 1815 onwards shows the effort of the traditional classes to prevent the formation of a collective will of this kind and to maintain economic corporate power in an international system of passive equilibrium. That's very true. All history from 1815 has the traditional classes, the classes who hold the power, trying to prevent collective will because it fucking benefits them, and instead keep a weird equilibrium between the current classes that have power. Yeah. I would completely agree with that last statement. Let's see, how much more do we have? All right, yeah, we've got about 3 pages. Then we can read the fucking infuriating article that doesn't know shit, and then we can do more. Is this superstructure? Yeah, this is kind of approaching. This is me reading from Twitch chat. Is this superstructure? Yes, it is. When we're talking about the traditional classes, that can be a example of superstructure. Because the sort of, because there is a representation of a collective will in the systems of power, but it's the collective will of the landed gentry and of the aristocracy, not really of you and me. So that would be the superstructure, is the collective will of the aristocracy. Or describing the initial argument, like you need to stop that collective will from going anywhere. I don't exactly understand what you're saying, Half-Truth. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're trying to say here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let me drink some water so I can actually not lose my voice. And let's fucking go. An important part of the modern prince will have to be devoted to the question of intellectual and moral reform. That is the question of religion or worldview. In this field, we we find in the existing tradition an absence of Jacobinism, which is kind of being used as a stand-in for popular will, and a fear of Jacobinism. The latest philosophical expression of such fear is B. Croce Malthusian's attempt toward, or attitude towards religion. All my homies hate Malthusian philosophy. Fuck Malthus.
That's some nerd shit.
And fuck Daniel Quinn
No,
while we're at
all right. Andres, do you know about Malthus?
No, because I'm not a nerd.
Okay, Malthus wrote some fucking not good shit. So, one of his big ideas is sort of this eco-fascisty idea that there's a finite amount of resources and that the human race has to basically make sure that we don't get too big or we'll end up all killing each other, and that the best way to do this is through policy. Oh, not sure about that one, Malthus.
literally inspired Ebenezer Scrooge. That's
Yeah.
all you need to know.
Yeah, Malthus is not... He's kind of a dick. But anyways, the modern prince must be, and cannot but be, the proclaimer and organizer of an intellectual and moral reform. So, whatever your vanguard party or, leading force is, has to be leading, key reform that needs to be made. Not just, policy-wise, but like how we approach both the acquisition of knowledge and how we kind of basically what's being talked about is a cultural and intellectual reform, which I in the case of the US 2020 I kind of agree with, which also means creating the terrain for a subsequent development of the national collective will towards the realization of a superior, total form of modern civilization. These two basic points, that the formation of a popular collective will, of which the modern prince is at one and the same time the organizer and the active operative expression of, and the intellectual moral reform, should structure the entire work. The concrete programmatic points which must be incorporated in the first part, that is, they should result from the line of discussion dramatically, and not be cold and pedantic exposition of arguments. Can there be cultural reform? Hey, I was saying that. And can the position of the depressed strata of society be improved culturally without a previous economic reform and a change in their position in the social and economic fields? Alright, and here's our last bit, and then we will stop for a little bit. Intellectual and moral reform has to be linked with a program of economic reform. Yes, indeed, the program of economic reform is precisely the concrete form in which every intellectual and moral reform presents itself. The modern prince, the driving force, as it develops, revolutionizes the whole system of intellectual and moral relations, in that its development means precisely that any given act is seen as useful or harmful, as virtuous or wicked, only insofar as it has its point of reference, the modern prince itself, and it helps to strengthen or to oppose it. In men's conscience, the prince takes the place of the divinity or of the categorical imperative and becomes the basis for a modern laicism and for a modern laicization of all aspects of life and of all customary relationships. I don't know if I said what that L word right. I have, that's one word I actually have not encountered. Laicization. Oh, loss of a clerical state. Oh, okay, so secularization. You could have just said secularization.
It's a little nah. It's something a bit more deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
Secularism is what we have in the United States government, where the government just leaves religions alone. Laicism is like what they have in France, where is like what they got in France, where like the government is like you're not even allowed to wear a cross on government property.
Got it. So active antagonism towards the expression of religion in the governmental institutions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can get down with that. I'm not entirely opposed to that per se. So what did you think of what we've read of Gramsci so far? Anyone can
Probably
speak.
wrong. I'd say this. I feel that while there are cases where centralization is important, to be important and necessary, to be honest, I kind of feel like people. I kind of feel that people have more power. I feel that a sort of decentralized state would so that areas of decentralization would sort of help would sort of be more would sort of be a more authentic expression of worker power.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not entirely against centralization.
Neither am I.
But I'm against centralization when it serves more so the purpose of hegemony and imperialism. So, like, for example, right? I'm trying to think of a good state. You know what? The UK is a very good example of this, right? So you have the centralization of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland all into one state, right? And while there isn't, at least to my knowledge, active antagonism towards the Scots, the Welsh, or the Northern Irish, you see Gramsci actually brings this up when he talks about cultural hegemony. A sort of cultural hegemony.
Federal.
Exactly. Half Truth says, or needs to be neutral, I suppose. I think that's very ahistorical. What are you talking about Gramsci's take as sort of ahistorical, or what are you talking about here? Because, like, welcome back. Yes, hello, Half Truth. I love you. I think when reading theory, we have to remember that obviously, these people are writing from time periods past, and that they aren't, infallible people. So that, it's very okay that when you're reading theory to be like, that doesn't, line up with how reality works, in my experience, and it's completely okay to critique theory. Try not to just critique it because you don't like what it says, but critique it because you have, like, something here isn't adding up. Something here is a little weird. Oh, yeah. When I was referring, so Half Truth says also ahistorical was the terms of Wales, Scotland, Ireland not being antagonistic towards the UK in history. Yes, no, I agree with that. I was more specifically referring to the very, modern state of the UK, rather than bringing, a historical analysis into it. And yeah, I realize my own analysis there is probably lacking, but I do believe that delegating higher autonomy to, smaller zones within a centralized state, if you are going to even have, in fact, a centralized state, generally is going to yield better representation for the people within it. But obviously, it can also lead to tensions within a confederation. Let's see. With that, I think I'm going to BRB, and I'm going to put on, cafe smooth jazz that we normally listen to. And then when we get back, we can read the article written by a man who says Gramsci is evil and he's also probably never fucking read any Gramsci. I love that trait of like the hardcore anti-communist types who are like Joe or Johnny or whatever communist figure you're talking about is so evil, and it's like, oh really? What did they write that was so fucking evil? And it's like, I haven't read any. Well then, what are you fucking saying, you ding dong?
Sometimes the ones that have actually the ones who have like barely skimmed it are a lot worse. I remember someone claiming that Marx was a Satanist based on that unfinished play he wrote in high school. What was that called? Olanum?
Obviously you don't need to read the actions of people who've held power to understand if they're, bad dudes or not. You can look at, policies enacted. But for someone like Gramsci, who, while being in charge of the PCI, never really held a, major power over his state of Italy, it's, you'd have to specifically point out something they wrote. And a lot of times they just don't do that. All right, I'm a BRB. Here's some coffee house jazz. And then we'll read the article. And then we might... Oh, did I drop? I think I dropped for a minute. Oh, dear. Yeah, it says...
Something I kind of noticed...
Yeah, we only...
Something I've kind of noticed is that, like, make a right-wing dystopia... Everything the right says at face value, because they literally take everything at face value.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy. But these claims about all the criticisms of leftism.
Okay, average. Love you. Just letting you know, I'm a BRB, and my mic is muted.
Sorry, I'll finish up later.
Dr. K's gone, we should ban.
Main criticism of if you want to criticize right-wing thought, it's easy. You just have to take everything you say at face value. But face value, you have to see where it leads to dystopia. But criticism of leftism and claims that leftism leads to a dystopia, it always assumes that the leftist is somehow lying, or that they have ulterior motives, or that there's a way to motives, or that they support something or other. It's something I've noticed. Like the claim.
Hurry, Dr. K's gone. We need to ban some people. I'm in charge of this ship now.
No.
Look at me.
Huh?
I'm the captain now.
No, I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain.
I can prove it.
Look, we need to democratically manage this ship.
I'm the captain now. See? I'm the captain. I'm the captain, I told you.
You fool, we're all captains.
What was that? What was that, bro? Exactly, I'm the captain. I'm the sole captain
Look, all because I'm not talking doesn't mean I'm like being silenced. I'm just playing Among Us. I have like bigger priorities.
I'm running this choo-choo train.
I have bigger priorities, alright? I'm trying to get my task done.
I am the fat conductor here. I am Sonic and Sonic X. I'm the Red Ranger in Power Rangers. I'm Jay Maskus. I'm Lee Ronaldo.
Yeah, well, I'm Lou Warlow.
Yeah, well, I'm
Off doing my own thing.
I'm
doing thing in between holes.
I'm simultaneously Dave Grohl and Kurt Cobain.
Well, I just simultaneously whipped and nay-nayed.
That's a crime. And you know what we do
Put it for themselves?
for a crime?
Why, Tuna?
We throw them overboard.
We threw Tuna into the lava.
Wait, what? Who are you playing Among Us with?
I don't know.
Oh, randos?
Randos, but there's a person named Tuna.
Ooh. Listen. Dr. K's not here. We could easily plan a coup. Let's take over the stream.
See, you say that, but it doesn't excite me enough. It's not
What do you
exciting.
mean it doesn't excite you enough?
It's boring.
What? Cooing the stream? Or...
Yeah, I don't want to take over the stream. You know what I want to do? I want to play Among Us. I want to play Among Us with my friends.
Then let's turn this into an Among Us stream.
Hey fuckers, how you doing? I heard some fun words being said there. What's up, everyone?
Oh, we weren't saying anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah, all right. What? So what was what's this coup word? What does it mean?
Oh, you just misheard Among Us.
I don't get that game's appeal.
What do you mean you don't get the game's appeal? It's like playing Mafia or like Town of Salem.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but those are better.
Not really. There's not really the interactive part with moving around and actually controlling a character.
Just play Trouble in Terrorist Town if that's what you fucking want so bad, though.
Not everybody can run Trouble in Terrorist Town. And it's not on the phone.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't see anything too intriguing.
The Lego guys and Fall Guys and the Lego minifigure people are all evolved from the same common ancestor.
I have a question. Where does what are those Roblox guys? Where do they fall in this evolutionary tree?
They're part of the mind. Oh yeah, they're part of that too.
Okay.
Goodbye, Panda.
Alright. Hi, chat. How you doing? The U.S. is a great example where they can't even acknowledge the history they do know. Yeah, half-truth, you're very much right on that one. That isn't a half-truth, that's a whole truth right there.
Yeah, that's like, two halves.
That's what we call basic material reality. Alright, Coffee House Jazz goes away now. Goodbye, Coffee Jazz. Is everyone ready to read an article that is going to make you upset? Oh, this... No, while I was looking for Gramsci's book, right? Or not book, but like a compilation of his prison notebooks. I found this.
Oh no, Gabe's here. Hide the babies.
I found this, right?
I do love boiling babies.
You do.
In the boiler room?
But yeah, this fucking bitch has not
in a
read
pot.
No Gramsci, No How.
Who?
Yeah, well, I'm in the boiler room.
This fellow that we're about to read. So.
Wait,
Oh,
Yeah,
I gotta do it, but I don't know how to read.
Gabe, I know an easy way to scare Minnie. Just say commodity production.
Man, look at that face. Look at
Oh
how
my
deep fried they JPEG'd him.
Wait. I've heard of these guys before.
Yeah.
I've heard of the Foundation for Economic Education.
Yeah, no, these are complete fucking pundits, don't worry. I've already read through this article. You can basically just fucking wipe your ass with everything here.
Literally the guys who inspired Murray Rothbard.
Yeah, like this is poop squamp.
Antonio Gramsci, the godfather of cultural Marxism. Ooh, scary.
Gramsci viewed churches, charities, the media, and school organizations that as
If Gramsci's really the father of cultural Marxism, then where is my Antifa card at?
I mean, Gramsci definitely wrote about cultural hegemony, but that's very different from, the quote-unquote cultural Marxism. It's very different terms.
Well, also,
And ideas.
cultural Marxism isn't a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can say anyone's the father of cultural Marxism because it's
Well,
literally a
It's
dog
cultural
whistle.
Marxism.
Well,
I'm the grandpappy
Like-
of cultural Marxism.
Like if
Because
you were
cultural
reading,
cultural Marxism is literally an anti-Semitic dog whistle.
yeah. Well, if
Doesn't mean
you were
anything
reading what we were
except
reading,
I
right?
hate you.
Cultural Marxism implies that there's something new being added to an already existing culture that has some Marxist characteristic to it. But if you were reading Gramsci, as we were, we understand that what we are doing here is we are taking, the popular will and making sure that it manifests in actual political doctrine, right?
But also a good
And that-
socialist revolution has a cultural revolution.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
massive
well
cultural
I was
shift, so there's culture.
fucking getting to that, Gabe. Thank you.
Too bad.
So,
I'm gonna.
I was about to say this earlier, but it there seems to be the right wing seems to think that instead of actually uprooting the system, we just want to make our own version of it where we reign supreme.
Well, yeah, because that's
Never
what they
forget
want to
that-
do.
In other words, they're projecting.
Yeah, basically. Well, the problem is right-wing thought, because it is innately reactionary, is sort of stuck on old ideas, right? And the old idea for how, changing things in culture works was to kill everyone of the culture you didn't like and replace them with cronies, right? So that's kind of where their mentality is stuck, where it's like, we don't want to kill anyone. We just think that there's valid parts of culture that need to be critiqued and fixed because they're doing fucking harm to people.
I'm gonna kill Italians though.
Why? Gramsci good though.
Italians aren't people, though. That's the thing.
You shut the fuck up. I'll suplex all of you.
You're just pasta.
Have I sent you those Italophobic memes?
Yeah, here, let me
You need to send me them.
add something.
I've got one that's heritage based on foot shape, and for Italian, it's a paw.
Oh no. That's rude.
Wait, let me find it.
Here.
Rude against who? Italians aren't people.
Yeah.
All of you, check out the stream. I think I've added something that will bring you quite a bit of joy.
I'm
Well, that's the thing. I don't want to check out the stream. I'm too lazy.
In support of,
I'm posting
of making
fucking
Italian
gold
racism.
memes, alright? I'm posting fucking gold here and you're not witness to it.
What's the post?
Poster above this message is Italian.
What's the
Truth.
fucking situation?
It's all
Who's
fun and
half truth?
it's all fun and games till Mario and Luigi break in your door.
Gabe, Do you know if we could
Dr.
play?
K. Dr. K is
That's-
Mario and Jose is Luigi.
That's good shit.
I am not Luigi. I'm not even Italian.
Shut up, Luigi.
Oh man,
I'm Spanish.
Okay, Luigi.
Andres,
and
I'll see you.
black. I'm mostly black, in fact.
You're
Andres,
200% Italian.
Andres, I'll see
I
you at the
am-
big Italian reunion later this month, right?
Yeah, Dr. K told me everything.
Yeah.
Italy's basically part of Africa, anyways.
No, Andres is from Salerno. He just doesn't like to talk about it because it's Salerno.
Jose's not Italian.
The
They're
lesser-
from Northern Italy.
The lesser part of southern Italy, Salerno.
No,
That's right, all
Jose's-
Salernans. I said it.
Jose's from Northern Italy, not a real Italian.
I'm literally my
This-
grandma's part of the family is from
This is
Basque country, but okay.
I asked your ma. Your ma said that you're all from Northern Italy.
all right.
You were born in Northern Italy. That's why you have that
Africa-
accent.
So I've muted the Discord people, right? This is what Bordiga was talking about, or Gramsci was talking about when he talked about cultural hegemony. This is American exceptionalism right here at play. Okay. All right, so let's read this anti-Bordiga fellow who doesn't know what he's talking about. And all right, I've brought the Discord people back in, so now you can hear them again. Stream, hello.
They're not as anti-Bord.
Bordiga's killed my dad.
Gramsci's not as anti-Bordega as you'd think.
I'm anti-Bordega.
Who is
They
this guy?
reconciled after prison time. It was more like a MLK Malcolm X thing more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they had some animosity, but then when they got to know each other, not really anymore.
Being anti-Bordega is based.
Commodity production.
All right, here's the guy who wrote the Gramsci article, right? Bradley Thomas, a libertarian activist with 15 years of experience researching and writing on political philosophy and economics.
Oh, look at the recent articles.
Yeah, I am.
How to make healthcare unaffordable and
No, my favorite is what Murray Rothbard could teach Bernie Sanders about rights. Oh boy.
Rothbard? Do you mean like
Yep.
both the founder of paleoconservatism
Yep.
and
Oh
left
god, Thomas
Rothbardism?
Sowell.
Yep.
Thomas Sowell is
Imagine having an ideology both on the far right and the far left.
No.
Thomas
Well,
Sowell.
I mean, they're the same, right?
Who did the same?
No, they are the same. The far left and the far right.
Statistical
Oh, yeah,
disparities
horseshoe
among
theory.
groups are not proof of discrimination. Then what the fuck are they?
The progressive ideas that fueled America's eugenics movements. Okay, dude. Okay.
Okay.
I actually have a thing I want to do about that. I want to talk. I want to do like a full tailored video about realignment, the Southern strategy, all that good stuff. I want to make the definitive vid on that, so
Can I-
that
can
when
I say
people
the
bring
quote?
that shit up, I can
say
just be
the
like,
quote
no.
on stream? Okay.
What quote?
the Southern strategy quote. Because it's very insightful, but I'm the only black person here, so I'm the only one who can say it.
Say it without the hard R, and I think we're okay.
Alright, let me pull up the quote.
Listen, I'm fine with you doing it. Everyone here is fine with you doing it, but Daddy Twitch would get very cranky with me if I were to start having such ungentlemanly words dropped on stream. I'm sorry to say. I
Alright,
know
Very gentlemanly word.
Twitch
Let me
is
find the
anti-free
quote.
speech. Yeah. I've harped on the one where he talks about like you have. Basically, the quote says you have to make your racist strategies more and
found
more
it.
obscure,
I found it.
so that people don't know you're being racist.
So the quote starts with, y'all, don't quote me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying, I'm just going to say with an A, nigga, nigga, nigga. By 1968, you can't say nigga. That hurts you. Backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, all that stuff. You're starting to get so abstract now that you're talking about cutting taxes. But all those things you're talking about are totally economic things and are the byproduct of them. That is, blacks get hurt worse more than whites. That subconsciously, maybe that is the part of it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that if it is getting that abstract and that coded, that we are doing away with the racial problem one way or another. You follow me? Because obviously sitting around saying we want to cut this is way more abstract than even the busing thing, and a hell of a lot more abstract than nigga, nigga, nigga.
You know what's fucking amazing about that quote? Is that it perfectly encapsulates what Gramsci is talking about when he's talking about how economic policy is in fact the same thing as cultural policy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
right-wingers understand this, whether they, do it knowingly or not. But, like, they just...
do it knowingly.
Yeah. Well, I mean knowingly of Gramsci's theory on it. But, like, they just... fucking lizard brain shit. Oh my god. I don't know what's a worse disease to have, lizard brain or lawyer brain.
Dr. K, look in general political things.
Okay. This is kind of
Okay.
unrelated, but
Let's
Bradley
see.
Thomas, the guy who wrote the
That's
Gramsci article,
rude.
he is literally
Let's say
selling.
it's wrong, though.
Okay,
That's
Guys.
rude.
Is it wrong, though?
It's rude.
guys,
But is it wrong, though?
I'm not gonna answer if it's wrong or not. It's rude though.
Where's the lie?
Italians don't have rights.
Can you point to where the lie
Hey.
is?
okay, I just found out something. Bradley Thomas, the guy who wrote that anti-Gramsci article,
Yeah.
he's literally selling a collection of his tweets as an ebook for $3.
Oh.
cover-
I should do that.
on
Oh
it.
my god.
I have enough tweets to fill like
Send me
a
a-
book. the
wait,
length of
wait.
Capital.
Wait,
Send
send me a link to. Okay, I'll bring that right up on stream. Oh
How many
man.
tweets I got? Hold on, let me check how many like actual tweets I got.
That's something. That's something of beauty right there. All
I
right.
have 2,228 tweets. I can make a book out of that.
This is the absolute state of people who drag Gramsci. Oh my god. How could you publish something like this and not be fucking embarrassed? This is just sad.
No, that's art, dude.
That's fucking...
That's like...
That is a sad existence to live. Ah, jeez. Selling your fucking tweets. It just hit me. The man is selling his fucking tweets. That is a drill post if ever there was one. You can
gonna
find that
sell my
drill
tweet.
post somewhere. Fucking selling your tweets as a book.
I'm gonna
Oh
make an
my God.
OnlyFans and sell two things: my nudes and tweets.
Oh my god.
Just
Connor,
tweet your nudes.
I
The
need you,
tweet-
Brad.
Oh my god!
I need to drag you on as my research guy.
Wahahaha.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's actually look at Bradley Thomas's horse shit. There's little debate that in modern day American universities, public education, the mainstream media, Hollywood, and political advocacy groups are dominated by leftists. Okay, dude.
God, I wish.
As if
Man, I wanna
universities
live
are
this
the
guy's
biggest
universe.
De-radicalization tool.
Threaten us with a good time, goddammit!
Yeah, exactly. This is no accident, but part of a deliberate strategy to pave the way for a communist revolution developed more than 8 decades ago by Italian political theorist named Antonio Gramsci. Okay. Describe...
Remember how Pete Buttigieg's dad translated Gramsci's works to English?
Mamma mia, that's a real nice.
That's that Patton Oswalt bit about how cool parents have lame children.
Mm-hmm. Described as one of the world's most important and influential Marxist theorists since Marx himself, that is true about Gramsci. If you are not familiar with Gramsci, you should be. Hell yeah, Thomas, you fucking sell my man Gramsci. You fucking give him a platform. The Italian communist is credited with the blueprint that has served as the foundation for the cultural Marxist movement in modern America.
You could just make up you don't even have. You could just make up your enemies.
God, I wish there was a cultural Marxist movement in modern America.
No, I love too that it's like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the fucking cultural Marxists all read Gramsci, every single one of them.
It's not like
every Hollywood director, like, if you get into Hollywood, the first thing they do is give you a copy of Gramsci. Don't you fucking worry about it, baby.
Legit, the only people I know that read Gramsci are like left comms.
It's me. I'm the guy who reads Gramsci.
Nah, I knew someone who reads Gramsci that I like a lot more than you.
Fuck you, Andres. I'll fucking...
Look, no, it's a different kind of like, okay?
You talking about the Fronty like. The kind where you want to, like, get up all in the bungle of hungaloos. Got it. Let's see. Later...
you describe it like that.
Later
immediately...
Later dubbed by 60s German student activist Rudi Duischk. I put $10 on that guy being a Nazi. As the Long March Through the Institutions, Gramsci wrote in the 1930s of a war of position for socialists and communists to subvert Western culture from the inside in an attempt to compel it to redefine itself. Dude, fucking everyone tries to redefine culture. What are you talking about? That's not like a uniquely leftist trait.
You've been doing this for fucking years.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the big strengths of capital, is its ability to redefine cultures around their commodification. Like that...
What are you talking about? That is not it.
What? Capital's ability to, like, bend even culture to commodification? Yeah, that's definitely one of its strong points.
But what about the cultural Marxists doing that?
It's only bad when it's the Marxists doing it. It's all pure ideology.
So Gramsci used war metaphors to distinguish between a political war of position, which he compared to trench warfare, and a war of movement or maneuver, which would be a sudden full frontal assault resulting in a complete social upheaval. Wow, guy uses war metaphors. Okay.
It's not like rightists ever used the metaphor like the culture war. Oh no, wait, they fucking coined it.
Yeah. Shapiro audio. Yeah, I am kind of
putting on a little bit of a Ben Shapiro for this. In the 1998 book, The Antonio Gramsci Reader, edited by David Forgax, Gramsci's development for a new form of strategy for ushering in the socialist revolution is made clear. Gramsci argued that the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia in 1917 worked because the conditions were ripe for such a sudden upheaval. He described the revolution as an example of a war of movement due to its sudden and complete overthrow of the existing government structure of society. Gramsci reasoned that in 1917 Russia, the state was everything, civil society was primordial and gelatinous.
I mean, yeah, was it not? Yes, the Russian Empire was very powerful, and basically had a stranglehold on every institution. So if you overthrew the Russian Empire, yeah, you kind of did just have cultural control of Russia. That's not like a controversial statement, dude. even then, I would make a critique the Russian Empire was in total control, as there was still institutions like the Orthodox Church that held a lot of cultural influence in Russia at the period. But, you know. And also the workers' Soviets. What?
They held influence in close tie to the government itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there was definitely a big interflow between the two.
It wasn't the czarist government working independently of the church. They fed into one another and used one another as tools to further their own gains.
Mm-hmm. And it's not as though this like cultural change came out of nowhere, like this guy is saying, because they're also like the Soviet workers' councils were established long before the revolution occurred, like 10 years or so before, I think. As such, a direct... Oh no, I need to get more water. Oh, no.
Get
Thirsty.
get water. Get cup. Drink water.
While you're at it, give me a Ruger AR.
Yeah, sure, guys. I'm going to the kitchen. Does anyone want anything?
I want water too.
Okay.
Get me water.
I want a Sprite.
Bruja want her Wawa.
I want gushers. Get me gushers.
Gush and Granny.
I want a Sprite and some Jolly Ranchers. Those two are not gonna go together. I just want some Jolly Ranchers and Sprite.
Jolly Ranchers and Sprite go together.
They do, along with some Robitussin.
Although I don't actually like Sprite that much.
Well, that's just you have bad takes.
No, I prefer... I don't know, the only two sodas I really like at this point are root beer and pineapple soda.
Well,
and grape soda. Grape soda's really good.
now that our Vanguard party is growing, we should do another coup.
What?
We're gonna coup the live stream.
Humankind was not made for prolonged throat noises. I'm just gonna come
Tell
out
that
and
to
say,
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, it looks like I did actually drop oh wow, I'm dropping a lot of frames. What's that about?
I guess you could say you dropped the ball on this one.
Isn't my Discord funny, guys?
Hey, it's a lot funnier than when you're in
There's
here
one
alone.
funny person in your Discord.
Alright.
I'm
The
just looking
comedy
at
area.
memes, so I'm
I'm the funniest person here. Let's not even cap.
No, you're not.
the second least funny person here.
I'm the what?
Second least funny person here.
I'm the second most funny person here. And there's no number one. There's no number one here, so I am the
You're
funniest.
number 4. I'm number 1. You're number 4.
I am not number 4. I mean, if we're going off funniest to tallest, then I guess Bruja's the funniest.
That's not how it works. Short people think they're funny, but they're not.
Let's see. Oh, here's a good
Wow.
paragraph.
I thought I was your friend.
Here's a good one. The left's long march through the institutions is a deliberate
I
attempt to
thought
create the
I was
conditions
your friend.
right for the final overthrow of our private property society. Their
Good.
success would spell disaster.
Good.
Because it means that this guy's gonna have to get a real job,
Yeah.
and not sell his tweet.
Cry more, baby. No one wants to buy your fucking tweeting liberty book.
Wants to buy a book with a fucking Wojak on the cover.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I'm gonna make a book called "Tweeting Horny," and this is gonna be my Twitter.
With that, I think that's going to be Theory Thursday. I'm going to clip the part where we actually fucking read Gramsci and put it up.
Yeah, we barely read any theory.
No, we read you kidding? We read 20 pages.
That's nothing. That's like 5 minutes of reading.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there for those 20 pages, so
Well, guess-
why do I know?
Well, guess what? I fucking read the 20 pages to a live audience, so they've got the book, alright? And listen,
You may have read the 20 pages,
Theory-
but did they?
yeah, Theory Thursday is not supposed to be like we read the entire fucking thing. It's supposed to whet your appetite. A little aperitif. That kind of
It's
thing.
supposed to slob on your knob like corn on the cob.
Exactly. Exactly.
On the cob. Check in with me.
Exactly.
Good job.
That is 100% exactly what Theory Thursday is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a slob on the knob.
Type of joint.
It's not slob on my knob, it's schlob on my knob. Come on.
It is slob on my knob. I looked it up.
Also, I just appreciate that one of your like quick link shortcuts for like most visited pages on Google is Pornhub.
Yeah, okay, and? Do I fuck?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And do you...
You're not using OnlyFans? Wow.
No, I don't have any money. I'm a
Well,
boxist.
that's
I'm
valid.
poor. I don't have
Wow.
That was very bassy. I don't know how to feel about
Put it
that.
in my mouth.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Stop. Please stop.
Dr. K, you're not enjoying this?
No, I'm actually in a fair bit of pain.
You know, you wouldn't be in a fair bit of pain if you were a capitalist, like Gabe.
I am a capitalist. I do love capitalism.
Let's see. All right.
You know, there are two things about me that are undeniably true.
Do
One, I'm a capitalist,
All
and
right.
two,
Yeah.
I hate Italians.
Yeah. All right. Do we raid into Thought Slime, into K Swiftly, or into Prime?
Prime.
All right.
Gabe.
Actually, I'm not gonna say on that on,
All right. Let's.
but I do want to cause some beef, so I might just say it anyways.
I know Prime better though, so I know that you know he's willing to get raids. I don't know if Swiftly wants him or not.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about. You know what? Don't worry about it.
All right, let's jump on in, and Theory Thursday video will be up probably later tonight.
Or is the stream ended yet? When are you ending the stream?
All right, it's here.